Hey, so my name is Tisha Anderson. I named my presentation Snap, Crackle, and Poppin' My Knuckles because I did it on cracking my knuckles. So, my problem behavior, like I just said, is cracking my knuckles. So, I defined it as squeezing, stretching, or any form of movement that results in knuckle joints being popped. Pretty simple. And then, during my baseline, most of the time the general antecedents were when I was stressed, tired, late, it was late at night, or I was bored. That was when it occurred most of the time. And then some of the general consequences were just the release of the pressure, the the relief of the stress in my fingers, and then it would just feel good too. Some of the long-term consequences was it cracking your knuckles causes like damaged tissue, or damage to tissues, and then it also widens like your knuckles, and it'll eventually like cause you to lose strength in your grip. So those are some of the long-term consequences. The short-term consequences is like it's irritating to others. It can gross people out, and you and I would also just get like a momentary relief of stress in the joints. So my replacement behavior was a clicking of a pen or rubbing my hands together really fast. And clicking a pen, I defined it as whenever I had the urge to crack my knuckles, I would just grab a pen and click the top of it instead of cracking my knuckles until I was distracted enough that the urge of cracking my knuckles would just go away. And rubbing my hands was basically the same thing. If I didn't have a pen, I would just rub my hands together fast for a few seconds until the feeling of wanting to crack my knuckles went away again. And I measured both of those by keeping a tally of how many times each day I would either click a pen or rub my hands together instead of cracking my knuckles. And then some antecedents to the replacement behaviors was keeping a pen close by. I would like either lay my hands like flat on the table or lay them on my place them on my legs, or holding my hands, and then also having like other people like encourage me not to do it. Some consequences would be either no or less tissue damage, like to my knuckles. I would have full gripping power when I get older, and then it doesn't annoy people, and I could also have like other people reinforce me saying, "Good job, not cracking your knuckles," whatever. And then for my intervention, my antecedents for my intervention was laying my hands flat, holding my hands, having a pen on hand, or having others remind me not to crack my knuckles. And then the behavior would be clicking a pen or rubbing my hands together to refrain from cracking my knuckles. And then my consequence I would reward myself with one Jolly Rancher every time I either rubbed my hands or clicked a pen instead of cracking my knuckles. My data and recording procedures, if I was at home or at school, like to where I had my notebook with me and I could record a tally mark of my behavior, of the occurrences, then I would immediately make a tally with the date next to it. But if I wasn't home, then I would carry the Jolly Rancher bag like in my purse or my backpack or something, and then if I wasn't at home, I would. If I wasn't at home, I would like hang on to the wrapper, either like stick it in my pocket or stick it back in my purse or whatever. But I would just hang on to the wrapper so that I could count the wrappers like later that day and make it like a total tally mark at the end of the day on my data sheet. My raw data was the keeping the Jolly Rancher wrappers. You can't see, but this is my graph. And then, but on my graph, you can see like how in baseline, the number of occurrences are greater than when I put my intervention in place. But there is the week before, or wait, 2 weeks into the intervention, I had a spike in, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks before the intervention was over, I had a spike in occurrences, and that was a week that like I had lots of projects and papers due. It was the week before Thanksgiving, so there was lots of deadlines, and like I said, one of my antecedents to it happening was being stressed or being tired, and during that week I did a lot of all-nighters, and I noticed that it would happen a lot like late at night or right before I went to bed or things like that. So so that's when the occurrences just kind of did a little spike. But overall though, there was a decrease in the occurrences, so I believe like the intervention worked. And there's even some days that there's 0 occurrences, so it was initially working. And then for future maintenance, I would eventually like to get to the point to where I don't need a reinforcer at all. I can just keep myself from not cracking my knuckles on my own. And then I think I will add like an imagined rehearsal, so that like I'll imagine myself wanting to crack my knuckles and then not like see myself like doing this instead or something, but also just becoming like, so that I'll become more aware of it, and I'll become more aware of it like before it happens and while it's happening, because a lot of the time, especially during baseline, if it happened, I wouldn't even notice. So I definitely need to become more aware of it. And then, but I just need to become more like self-disciplined and increase my willpower, so that eventually the behavior will just go extinct. But I definitely want it to be like more of an automatic thing. I want to get out of telling myself like don't crack your knuckles. Instead of like having to tell myself don't crack your knuckles, rub your hands together, I want to just not crack my knuckles and just simply rub my hands together, or just not have to do anything at all. That would be awesome. So yeah, so that was my cracking my knuckles project. Yeah, thank you.